step forward.
Welcome to the Now Podcast. I'm your co-host C Diesel. To the left of me, I have Lelouch V. To the right of me, I have Professor E, King of the Comics, Ethan Murphy. And guys, be ready for an episode full
bing
of
bang, bing bang, bing.
As we get into House of the Dragons, we are reviewing this thing, and this thing.
I guess Bing Bong is French for spoilers.
Yeah, spoilers.
No, it's New Yorker for annoying.
Bing bang, spoilers coming up very much soon, guys. I love this show. This show has like rekindled my passion for the Game of Thrones universe. Granted, it never really fully died out because I've kind of watched the show near the end of it broadcasting, so I kind of have my love for it kind of fresh. But this right here just gave me more of a man. I love it. I love it so much. How did you guys? Before we get into any like specifics, how did you guys feel about the show overall?
Pretty much the same way you did. I mean, before the season started, we had talked about it, and I said like, yeah, if this first episode is bad, then I'm dropping the series. And they never had a bad episode to me. It consistently got better, and that ending, man, I wish there was another episode or another 5 episodes.
Right.
I'm glad there's not, because it's like it's the perfect coup de grace. But I'm right there with you. I mean, y'all actually not. I'm actually behind y'all, because if y'all remember, I actually was just done with the Game of Thrones universe. I still enjoyed the original series. There are definitely more high points than there were low points. But I was like, I'm just exhausted. I can't deal with another dark fantasy story, essentially. But
gotcha.
y'all got me. Y'all said y'all recommended it to me, and because I do trust y'all, and we don't always see eye to eye, but both of y'all were saying we're championing the show. So I went fire, go and watch the damn thing. And I loved it. I mean, it literally the first episode, I was like, yep, I'm on board. It's 100%. Let's dance.
All right.
So yeah, it's a great show.
Now that we have that out the way, before we get into any specifics, I want to say anything that Rhaenyra does from here on out is fully justified. I don't give a fuck what it is. It's justified.
We're Team Rhaenyra here. Is that what we're saying officially?
I am.
Yeah. After that, yeah.
Fuck the high towers.
Okay. He said fuck the high towers. Okay. All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
They go step on a scale. It's over with.
Step on a scale. That makes sense to me for some reason. Okay. All right.
Now, do you guys want to go? I don't want to hop into just the last episode. We're discussing the show as a full.
Yeah,
I will say, first and foremost, I love that they were able to. Again, we've talked about this before with different stuff before. One that comes to my mind recently is with Arcane, how shows were able to like take very strong women and let them be at the forefront without making it being terribly written already. 2, you're able to tell a story with a woman protagonist that acknowledges things that women go through, and it be well done with well done actors. And they did it with 2 sets of actors, which is crazy to me. Like y'all not did it with just one, but you did it with 2, adult and child. That was crazy to me. I can't think of any show that's done it that well to where you've had a seamless transition between an age jump and 2 different sets of actors. It feels like you didn't miss a beat. You kept
right.
going.
I mean that's to piggyback off of that. Otis is famous for not necessarily digging time jumps, and he was still on board for this show, and they did time jumps multiple times. So that's to tell you something too. But also, I do agree with what you said, Dev. I'll take it a step further and say that their genders, they weren't arbitrary. It wasn't like it was just random fan service or quote unquote wokeness. It was like, their genders are pertinent to the story, because it plays a big role as far as what's going on. The whole idea, we know the story. The whole idea is a king who doesn't have a son as an heir has to choose a female, his daughter, a woman, a young lady, essentially, to be his heir, which is highly controversial, if not worse, at the time. And that's a major plot point off the jump. And then also seeing how that unfolds later on over the course of the story, and seeing how it unfolds with her best friend being not coerced, but being what's the word, y'all? As far as like basically being strong armed by her daddy to hook up with him and marry. So it's like these are things that are pertinent to women having to deal with these things. These are even today in some capacity. These are things that women have to face on some level, and it made sense to see that struggle portrayed in this kind of a story. So I dug it for that reason.
Yeah, she for sure got finessed.
finessed.
Like,
Go ahead.
go ahead. I'll go last.
No, I was literally just gonna say R.I.P. my man, old man Viserys. Buddy has went through like some of the toughest 10 years I have ever seen in my entire life. Dude was forced to make the worst possible decision where it was like, all right, you have a decision that ends in bad stuff or horrible stuff. You make the choice, and you gotta live with that. And on top of that, you're slowly like corroding and decaying like a zombie. I'm like, damn, you can't catch any break, bro.
Bruh.
Otis, you go ahead next, and you had something to say. I'm gonna say that.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to your earlier point, Rhaenyra had to be pronounced as the heir because his brother was a dick. Like,
basically,
like just a very savage person when it comes to when he's lashing out. Like, nothing is off limits for him as a character. Like, you can never predict how he's going to react to anything, and I enjoyed seeing that chaos, especially the further we got into that season.
Absolutely. Well, it was fun too. I didn't mean to cut you off,
Go ahead.
No, what I was going to say about Daemon, y'all know one of my favorite characters, regardless of whether you like it, one of my favorite characters in all of anime and manga is Hisoka. He reminded me at times a lot of Hisoka as far as just someone that's just wildly unpredictable, perverse, entertaining as hell, and somehow charming. It's a weird character that he pulled off bizarrely well. I remember when the first things 2.5 months ago, Otis was like, I was like, I don't feel like watching Matt Smith in the show because of Morbius and shit. And Otis was like, this show pretty much makes up for Morbius. I was like, what? I think I literally said what at that same high pitch. And I agree, he does. So yeah, another thing I wanted to mention real quick was just how our boy Viserys. That dude didn't actually want to be king. It wasn't supposed to be king. Rhaenys was, if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, Rhaenys was supposed to actually be the queen, was really appointed to it, and it had to default essentially to him. So he didn't want to be that to begin with, and he essentially had he was never right for the job. He had almost too good of a heart, too humble of a heart to be a king. I feel like if things had been different, she would have been a much better ruler overall, to the point where even sitting in that throne cut him. Like, he was, the throne was like, you don't belong here. What are you doing? Get out of my chair. Get out of me right now. So yeah, it's a old boy trying to be, we see in the world of Westeros and dark fantasy, trying to be a good dude only get you got.
You know what's crazy about that? People like, we say that, but then Buddy had like 20 years of peacefulness and his whole kingdom, maybe not thriving because you still had a lot, like the poor class there was crazy, but there was no war and everybody was kind of living their lives for 20 years, which if you watch actual Game of, like the first part of Game of Thrones, or just the entire show, that's a lot to ask for, because it seems like that city goes through like one thing after another. So you have 20 years, almost for, at least for that point in time, a whole lifetime of just peacefulness. Sometimes 2, depending on your situation. That's the best ruling I've seen out of Game of Thrones and House of Dragons, period.
Oh, I'm not arguing with you.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Because I mean, to be fair, a lot of the horrible things that happen in King's Landing is due to the rulers of King's Landing. So I mean,
yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
He didn't do horrible things. It's
never
just that
did.
He always put himself in a bad position. Like, he just
that's the problem.
Constantly put himself in the worst possible position.
Yeah, because the thing is, sometimes kings or people in power, bosses, you have to make the difficult decision and say, no, this has to happen. I don't have to be liked, but it's my job to get things. I remember one time my boss said to us, she told me, and I went in their office, asked her a question why she did something she did, and it's a person I respect dearly. It's a mentor. I still love her to this day. And I asked her why she did what she did. She said, it's not my job to be liked. It's my job to get things done. And it's kind of like, that's it. That's how you rule. You had to, it's the heavyweight is a crown, essentially. And it did seem like Viserys was always trying to please everyone at the same time, as opposed to kind of like taking a stand on certain things. I mean, the last act he made before he kind of got delirious in bed was actually having a dinner where all these feuding sides were brought together, which is great. It's an amazing thing. And that's him. He was literally called Viserys the Peaceful. So it's I don't think there's a bad thing with having a humble heart and try to be peaceful. Like you said, he did that, but it does come at a cost.
I will say, I think that is one way to look at it, obviously, but I think that calls into question the different ways to lead. Obviously, I always somehow get back to basketball. People talk about one of the biggest discrepancies between LeBron James and Michael Jordan being that Jordan led with an iron fist and LeBron is too friendly.
Right.
We've both seen both of those ways of leading led to greatness, almost arguably those being the best people of all time. I think the way Viserys led, I don't honestly see a problem with it because, again, it led to peace and growth and prosperity within his kingdom for over 20 years. When you look at when shit went awry, it was literally the worst possible luck, starting with his wife situation, where he's very apparent, where he's very aware that he needs a son because tension is getting high in the kingdom of him not having an heir and not having a son. So in his mind, all right, cool, I either let my wife live and try to have this baby again, or I risk this tension escalating even further with not saving this baby. So he had to make, again, the hardest of two decisions. Either one of those decisions I think they could have led to something. Maybe he could have tried for another baby, or maybe there's that luck there that baby survived, but we know the results of that. Even getting into the marriage of who's going to marry, it's like your daughter's best friend or your literal niece. It's like he's given the most impossible decisions, and no matter what he's going to do, is always going to lead to heartbreak or just some kind of negative consequence, no matter what he does. So he's put in the worst possible situations in which I don't know anybody that can be put in that same situation. Even if, like, we put a Jordan in that situation, like somebody with that kind of personality, I think it goes exponentially worse with the way he handles things. Because he's trying to do things with the iron fist, and you already have people colluding behind you. Where if you make an enemy out of any one of these people, we already seen how much they can collude against you. In one day.
I mean, wait, that just was him not playing the game. Like like his house was the weakest that it's ever been under his rule, and that is completely on him and his decision making.
I agree.
How so? I mean, what would you have done differently with a stronger outcome? Is my question.
Well, for sure, I would have been active on that war against the crab feeder, whatever the guy's name was.
In the steps.
I would have been active on that. I would have unfortunately taken the really, really weird ale of marrying the cousin to strengthen the house, because if you know your health is declining, you're gonna want people in power that are gonna have the same mindset as you and keep running it the way that you want it, instead of it pretty much going up in arms, and now you end up with a fight between two different factions. Instead of
strong
strong
factions.
Right, exactly. Instead of nipping in the bud ahead of time. Like,
yeah. I think what we discussed, I'm sorry, I mean, cut you off again. Keep doing that.
I was just saying, this is okay. But like, literally this whole plot line now wouldn't be a thing if he would have just played it strong, but he did.
Yeah.
He played it strong.
But there's a oh no, I say the strong. The dude's name is strong. The thing is, Otis, that's our co-host. We can't do anything about that. But the thing is, there were a couple of he did have a couple of off ramps he could have taken, but he still didn't take those either. I get it. Him marrying a 12-year-old niece is like, yo, that's a bit weird, y'all. I mean, she literally can't have kids yet for a couple of years, anyways. So I don't know that would have been the best option. I get it. We talked before about on the show how he could have possibly married her and then had his side pieces to mess around with for a couple of years until she was ready to have a kid. But so that's not unusual, obviously, for a king. But I think what they could have done also is once old girl Allison had her, because they had a couple of years ago, a couple of years later, she had a son. Very quickly had a son, Aegon, right? He could have said, okay, I will go ahead and officially name him my heir, get all this shit cleared up and taken care of. And he didn't, because he was still trying to please his daughter. And I get it. Daddies love their girls. You should. But it's like, for the sake of the kingdom, I know for a fact it'll be a lot of strife that happens if I die. And there are people like, now this woman is in charge of us. It's gonna be a mess. He know it'd be a mess. Everyone knows it'd be a mess. I mean, and everything happened as far as like people not wanting to side with her. So he knew that. He should have taken that off ramp when he had that chance, and he chose not to. I get it as far as him not wanting to appoint his brother Daemon, aka Hisoka. No beef there. I mean, but he was put to Charlie's credit. he was a very, very unlucky dude who tried to be a very, very righteous guy, and it's a rough scenario. I think we've all seen the Redeem team. There's a part in the Redeem. You guys watch the games themselves actually in real time, but there's a part where it shows the first game in 2008. Well, not the first game, but one of the earlier games where Kobe Bryant tells his team, "Hey, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and charge at Paul Gasol immediately as soon as the ball is checked in." And they're like, "Why would he do that? He's that's his best friend." He goes, "No, I'm going to do it." And by him doing that, it lets everyone know what's up. I feel like Viserys never did. It never checked anybody. Never let anyone know. Back off. I'm handling my own business. If he had stepped up and done that at one point, things would have been different for him overall.
Right.
And so then the one thing that he was firm on, he didn't stand on because he let Hightower come back. Otto, like that was the one time he made an active decision on it.
He brought him back. He fired him and then brought him back.
I thought he came back once. He was like delirious on his deathbed.
No, Otto came back decades before. Not decades.
We're talking about Allison's father, right?
Yes. Yeah. Otto came back right after.
They killed the other hand
after the dude killed his dad and his brother, the Strongs, in a house fire. That was pretty early on.
That was still second time skip. It wasn't third time skip.
Their kids were still very young. They were children. So yeah.
I will say though, because I do acknowledge all those points. I probably agree the most with naming the Aegon the king thing, especially when we saw that Rhaenyra just like adamantly did not want that for a minute. Like she was like, I don't want to be queen. And he was like, no, you're going to be queen. I'm setting the point. I'm making the point here.
Right.
But I'll say even with the Stepstones thing, either way, that would have been a victory because even if he would have been more persistent on that, plus there's no guarantee if he was more persistent on that, they would have won that in general. They won that because Daemon was a wild card and there's no controlling Daemon that's been apparent up to this point.
Right. And
even with the the Allison's father thing, that one, I feel for him a little bit more because that's your right hand man, somebody you believe you could trust through thick and thin, which he did up until the scandal thing, which he wanted to get him out.
Until he
but he had a whole rant. He had a whole rant about how he had been manipulating him, and he realized it. Like, why would you go back on that?
That was after the fact. Oh, when he came back, but like up until he banished him, that was after the fact. Like after.
No, the rant,
all the drama thing.
The rant happened before he banished him.
He banished him during the rant. That's kind of like here's my rant, and now you're banished. Okay. And then he brought him back a couple years later. And also, it's a pattern. He did the same thing with Daemon. He was ready to punch Daemon's lights out after he hooked up with his niece and besmirched her in front of the whole kingdom, essentially.
Right.
And then he brought him back, and then he came back. Yesterday, saw him at the funeral of Daemon's wife. And he was like, "Oh, brother, I'm so good to see." So
trying to patch stuff up.
Trying to patch stuff. Again, he is almost in a way too good of a dude because you got to understand positions of power. He shouldn't be apologizing to anybody. Mm-hmm. They should be apologizing to him. It's just how it is. He's everyone's lord. Everyone's he's above everyone else. Period. In the kingdom, he has to respect that.
Like by law and religion.
Yes.
One thing I came
by the fact that he has a dragon. Also,
that's it.
He has a dragon.
Walk soft, carry a big stick.
Yeah.
I said talk soft, carry a big stick. That's what it was. But I came to the conclusion. Well, there was what was I can't remember what president it was that was popularized with. But anyway, the thing that I kind of came to the conclusion of, it felt more so like Viserys was a regular person in a crazy world.
Yes.
Everybody, all these other characters are doing like they're the most like craziest to the extreme level characters you can think of as far as they're hyperbolic in all kinds of different ways. And he seemed to be the one like, bro, am I high right now? Like, what is going on? Like, what are y'all doing right now? Like, we're family. We shouldn't be doing this crazy shit. What are we doing right now?
I couldn't agree more. But you saying that also reminds me of something. It reminds me of a quote from George W. Bush, where basically George W. Bush was a C plus average student. He didn't really stand out in any possible way. He was just an average dude. And an average dude shouldn't rule a country. You should be the exception to the rule. You should be the best of the best. You should be something unique. Viserys was a good guy. He was a normal dude, but he wasn't meant. Normal people aren't meant to rule. It's just how it is. And I don't mean to comment. I actually like the guy. I do like him a lot. But it's like you have to appreciate the fact that all this happened because of him, because of his decisions over the season.
Yeah, that's a conversation for another day. I was about to say some triggering shit. I get into that. There's an episode for that. I don't want to get this canceled already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of wanted to get into him a lot more because he's gone. We're probably not going to see him anymore, or we won't see him anymore throughout the rest of the series. But I really enjoyed the character. I enjoyed what they did with him, and just I really felt for him throughout the series. But R.I.P. Viserys. R.I.P. to both the Viserys actually. This is crazy.
No, I mean, but all that's like, I don't think that he's a bad character. Honestly, I think he probably had the best scene in the entire show with that walk up throne. Like that whole scene was fantastic. Top tier. Like it was beautifully done. I do not think he's like a badly crafted character, but his decisions literally caused everything that happened in this season to happen. Like
it really did.
Every single thing was on him.
It literally did. Yeah. But we harped. I don't want to harp on him Viserys because he's our boy. All of us like him. All of us like the dude. But
RP. I think things happen regardless of what goes on. But that's just me, though. That's just me. But moving forward, do y'all just want to go ahead and get into the nitty gritty in regards to the team? Because I don't feel like we're getting a team versus thing. I haven't seen too many people for House Green.
Have you seen anybody for House Green?
Yeah, I've seen there's a handful of people I've seen.
You have? Okay.
I was House Green until like 2 episodes ago. It was like,
I was too.
Fuck these dudes. Like,
yeah, I was too. So I guess here's the thing. Let's get into that a little bit as far as like the animosity that the Greens and Hightowers could have for the Targaryens or for Rhaenyra or whatever. Is basically Alicent is upset because she feels lied to and betrayed in some capacity by Rhaenyra for going outside her marital vows and doing what she had to do is strong and making some kids and lying to her face about it. I'm guessing that's the biggest source of their conflict, right? Their tension, right?
What I took from it was that, yes, but it was more so that you got to live the life that I didn't get to live. Like I had to be the one to hold all the responsibility. I had to bear these kids. You got to go outside of your marriage and have fun and live a life that I wanted because I got coerced into this. I didn't have a decision.
Sure.
That's what I took from that. And it was more so, it was that, but also part of that was, I think, a lot of jealousy was there on that one.
Okay. And then, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong on this one, y'all, definitely the brains of our outfit. It seemed like Rhaenyra resented Alicent for marrying or getting involved with her daddy somewhat behind her back, but even just the idea of even doing it at all. Is that what the biggest? Okay.
That's what I got from that. I don't know, but Otis, did you get something different?
Yeah, pretty much the same. Just adding on to what you were saying about the views between them as well. I think Alicent is also slightly jealous of the fact that Rhaenyra is the one that actually gets a chance to rule. I think by the end, she had a taste of the power and she wanted it herself, especially when Rhaenys put that little bug in her ear about it.
The ironic thing. Go ahead, my bad. Keep cutting you off. My bad, bro.
It's all good. But I feel like that built a portion of the resentment towards it.
Interesting. Yeah, that's definitely true because it was episode 7, right, fam, where old girl Alicent, who had been more understanding and compassionate and seemingly decent-hearted, pulled that knife out and said, "I'm gonna stab you. I'm stab a bitch." And it was like, and it seemed like it's more or less everything had boiled to the surface. She was really, really upset about so many things over the years, and like, I guess what y'all said tracks. It makes sense, and it's pretty much she saw that everyone in the kingdom knew definitively that those were not. It's not Lucian, but can't remember the old boy's name. Rhaenys' son.
Oh my god, I can't remember, buddy.
The
Valerian guy.
Yeah.
I don't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
The gay brother.
Keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah, her that essentially that Rhaenyra and her cousin that were married together, those clearly were not his kids, and the whole kingdom, everyone was just kind of ignoring the idea. And I guess because she actually was a more honest person or whatnot. She was like, it bothered her to the end of no earth. Like you said, it did kind of, she wanted to have that kind of a life and she couldn't have it in some sense. She felt like a prisoner. As she said before, she felt alone. So all these other things kind of attributed to it, and then seeing one of her kids lose an eye to one of those quote unquote bastards was the tipping point. She couldn't handle it anymore. So that tracks.
And then also the fact that her son is fucking Aegon, because oh my god,
that dude.
Horrible. Horrible.
With him, it's funny because it's showing the same thing over and over again. It starts with Viserys being put in a situation he didn't ask to be in, as far as being crown king.
Cycle.
Same thing when you get the Rhaenyra. Yeah. Alicent is a similar thing on the same level, and now you have Aegon, which is like the next rendition of that. Of like, I just want to live my life. I don't want to have this responsibility that was placed upon me.
Right. But no, you're right. You're actually right.
Life he wanted to live.
He wanted to smash chicks and drink alcohol. That's every rich privileged.
That's every nigga on the earth.
Yeah. And watch kids brutally beat each other.
Bro, there's cockfights and dogfights in America. I mean, it's not too far out from the way.
There's stuff out there, man.
Morally, it's 100% wrong, but it's not too different from what rich people already do now, which I'm pretty sure. Oh my God. Never mind.
We're not endorsing. We're not. Demonetization aside, we're not endorsing any of this stuff. But as far as like, it doesn't make him Joffrey. Right. He was just a.
Yet. He didn't have power there.
Yet.
Now he got a little taste of that sword. I like this.
Yeah, he might go wild. But the thing is, you're right though, Dev. It is all the parallels and similarities they try to show throughout time as far as what happened to Viserys. It should have gone to Olga Rhaenys, and it went to him instead. The crown should have gone to Viserys, and it went to Aegon instead. Then, of course, on the day that she's crowned, Viserys loses a child and has to wrap her child up and bury and burn it, essentially. Same way that Viserys, in the pilot episode, it was in the first episode, had to burn his wife and child too. So it's like all these parallels showing just how, in a way, the cycle will continue, and how
that's the best thing about the season. Like the setups that they did throughout the series were flawless. Like everything you saw reoccur. Like when it came, everything, like all the way from like when the episode started with the pregnancy of Rhaenyra's mom, like you get to see that again with Daemon's
wife,
ex-wife, and then you get to see it again at the end with Rhaenyra. Like they did such a good job of putting those moments together. I'm curious to see how they set it up going forward further, just because I feel like at this point Rhaenyra is just like full Black Air Force energy, like, and she should be, because she should have been that. Like she should have just let Daemon cut Hightower's head off right then and there. Like, why didn't you just let him do it? Like, it was the right choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
True. I will,
but because she was trying to be like her father again, repeating cycles. Essentially, she's still trying to hold. The last thing she swore to her dad was that she would hold the house together, hold the kingdom together, more or less. So she's trying to be her father's heir as far as Rhaenyra the Peaceful, and so
the irony I feel like of this entire season that's obviously extremely well done is the thing. I feel like the biggest contributing factor that made tensions really high was that Alicent had the fear that if Rhaenyra got to the throne, she would murder her kids. That way, they wouldn't have any question of succession.
Yeah,
and then the whole season ends with her youngest son being murdered by one of her other children, which is going to set all this shit into motion. That for me was masterfully done. And I as soon as because they named he's Viserys too, right? The youngest one, wasn't he named after her pops?
No, Luke. So Lucerys or Luke, and then
it's
Chase.
Lucerys. Okay.
Chase, yeah.
Okay. It was crazy because that irony and that parallel is extremely funny to me. That all of this was started because of this, and that's the reason all of it's going to happen to begin with, or things just going to explode off. Because you seen like when Rhaenyra turned around and you saw that single Native American, that Indian tear come down her cheek. You knew it was over with. Like she's on full demon mode. Like everything is going to go.
You and I, all of us, we're friends. We're family. We've seen all kinds of anime and manga and watched movies and stories. We've seen all kinds of shit go down in live sports and in the real world. I have never seen a person have a more clear, definitive look of motherfucker on their face than when Rhaenyra turned around from that fireplace. She went through the whole emotions. She went through all of the dabbed or whatever, as far as denial, anger, bargaining, grief, all that kind of stuff. All 5 stages. And when she turned around, she stood up. She slowly stood up. I have never seen anything.
It's wild. She was going through the stages of grief and just got stuck in anger and denial. Like she's right there, like, nah, I ain't letting this go. It's over with.
Yeah.
Also, quick question, this quick tangent. Do you guys know what not Aemon, I think is his name.
Aemon.
What was in his eye? Because it was glowing and I didn't know what that was.
I just thought it was like a glass eye. That was my guess.
Was it a glass eye? But it was glowing.
It may have been like a jewel or something because they're
rich
ability. But
I guess I thought it had some with this show, I've learned to not take anything for granted, and I don't think anything to throw away.
Fair.
I feel like that's a plot, like for some foreshadowing to something. I didn't know what. I didn't know if it was a past thing that I missed, or maybe Tink will probably know when we talked to her on Friday to see if she has any idea what that is. Because it was glowing. It was a glowing stone in his eye. I'm like, that has to have some sort of meaning and have some form of importance going forward. But
it definitely might. My initial reaction was it couldn't be too significant if he always covered it up. But that's not to say that he wasn't holding it in waiting for something else.
Right.
I do like the idea though that Aemon, that you mentioned before, as far as the setups and payoffs, they showed in earlier episodes how Aemon was the one that was kind of laughed at because he didn't have a dragon, and then old boy gets the biggest dragon of all time, and he says, it's worth losing an eye for this dragon, and then the money shot. Otis and I talking about last night. The money shot of money shots is definitely, you see old boy Luke riding his little dragon, looking around, and above him you see just the dark silhouette of like how massive. But Viserys, the
Vhagar or Vhagar?
Vhagar, right? Vhagar. It's like this is, and the thing is, it's like talk about plans and payoffs, or even Chekhov's gun. When Luke lands at the Baratheon's castle, it's raining. It looks like Gotham City almost. And he looks over and he sees the massive ass dragon. It's like, oh, it's over.
That dragon is massive, bro.
My question is like, if you see the dragon outside, why go in? Like,
because he's trying to make his mom proud, though, bro. That's
he was serving his mama. He was serving his mama, but he knows Aemon's in there. He knows Aemon's already there.
Big dragon. I came back home. I didn't feel safe.
Yeah,
and he was right. He would have been right.
You've been right.
He would have been, but just look at a gang in general, like all the stupid, crazy shit gangs do out of loyalty to something that doesn't really matter. And that's like not even that. That's his mother, and he's trying to like make his mom proud. And he's like, "All right, I came here with a job."
Big dragon. Like
it is a big dragon. That's a
real big dragon, bro.
Huge dragon,
bro. My buddy like bucked up the roar when he landed. All I heard was doo doo doo. I was like, bro, what is going on right now? Go home.
Yeah.
Go away.
It was just it was clearly his last day. But I one thing we gotta touch on also real quick. I know it seems pretty definitive, but do y'all think that Aemon was trying to kill his nephew?
No, he wasn't. I
don't think he was.
I don't think he was.
Trying to scare him.
And he looked like, oh fuck, I messed up bad because you hear them both of them on their dragon saying, no, listen to me. I don't think that Luke was trying to have his dragon blast fire at him in the first place. I definitely don't think that Aemon was trying to have Vhagar attack him. So it seemed like, because they said before, they set it up in an earlier conversation between, I think it was Daemon and Rhaenyra. They were like, the dragons themselves are still
they're not ready for
beasts.
war.
They're not ready for. They don't know how, they will destroy us all. They can do that. So kind of like showing like, these dragons can in the end, we might ride them, but they're still their own kings in a sense.
But they weren't used to combat, because Buddy, like even Arax, he was like, bro, listen to me. Damn, chill out.
Listen to me. Yeah. Your ass name Arax. Yeah.
All right.
But that's another recurring theme in there. Like, and they literally made their names essentially the same, Aemon and Daemon. Like, both of them continually just getting caught doing things that they didn't necessarily want to do, but having to own it because shit, that's just the person they are. Like, they're the same person, just at different ages.
To get into him, Buddy getting a little bold for his britches. I ain't gonna lie. Buddy gave Rhaenyra the cane.
That's gotta be
Gave her
oh,
the cane.
Damon.
I was like, bro, you was real bold, my boy. You was real bold, my guy.
Yeah.
Dude literally grabbed her by the throat. Was like, look, I don't give a fuck about anything you got going on.
He says the cane, he means the cane from wrestling.
Oh yeah, cane from the WWE for people that didn't get it. With the choke slam from hell.
The choke hold he puts on his wife. His wife, the queen. She was queen at that point. Yeah, she was queen at that point.
For me, that made things interesting to me because I thought his motivations were somewhat clear to me as far as like, all right, I have my side. I'm fighting for my side. All I want to do is live in peace and have my thing. But now it seems like after his first wife died, that his motivations are kind of murky due to the fact that they got to the point where they're having that conversation. He's so adamant on this war for whatever reason.
Right.
And you think it's to have Rhaenyra in the, I don't know. I like to think it's to have her on the throne, but part of me doesn't think that's what it is. Like he has some sort of like, maybe not a selfish reason.
The Hightower. It's like, and they did something terrible. Let's get rid of the problem that we've been trying to get rid of.
But one thing is mentioned real quick. I mean, to cut y'all off. One thing is mentioned is that they believe essentially it was a conspiracy that Viserys didn't die, that he was killed. They strongly imply that they're like, what happened? He just fell asleep. He just died in his sleep. They don't think that he died that way. They think that either Alicent or someone there killed him. And also the fact, like y'all said, that they didn't let them know that it was pretty much a coup as far as for the crown. So they're pissed. I think ultimately Daemon, regardless of his issue with his brother, he always respected him and know he was loved by him. And he's basically like, I want revenge for them killing my brother. That's what I think it really boils down to.
Which I see that, which I don't deny it at all. I think it would be kind of weird to have that be the case. And then whenever he's like, his brother's on his deathbed essentially, and he's delirious, he seemed kind of cold to him still. Like, you can tell that he's like near the end of his life, and you're still kind of like cold to him.
Cold?
I don't know if it's cold to him.
He brought the crown to him. Like that was beautiful. Like,
I don't think it was cold.
At that point, I'm talking about before that, when they're having the conversation in his room, when he's in the bed, like in pain, dying, and he's trying to have a conversation with them, and he's just kind of like, "Hey, this is your grandson. This is your grandson.
Right?
Like here, you deal with that. I'm not in this."
I think this is more so he wasn't prepared to see his brother look like that.
That's what I thought.
Possibly.
Yeah. That's how he was doing with the grief of seeing. Like, I've been there for myself before. When I see a family member on their deathbed, and I'm like,
I know
how to handle this. Yeah, you know.
I know very intimately.
Yeah, it's not an easy thing, especially for dudes who don't know how to deal with their emotions. Sometimes it is what it is. That was my takeaway from that. That was my takeaway from that scenario.
Which I think
but then also he has never ever shown any malice or anger towards Rhaenyra at all, really. She's always been like his one biggest soft spot imaginable since the beginning. And so for him to lay hands on her,
right,
it clearly had to be something bigger. The only thing bigger to it had to be his brother's death, essentially. That was my takeaway.
That checks out to me. That makes sense. Yeah, like you said, for him to go that far with her, I'm like, ooh, damn, buddy, you is mad right now. And like as soon as which makes sense too, because as soon as he heard the news of Viserys being dead, and Rhaenys said she didn't know how to happen, he's like, oh, they killed my brother.
They killed my brother.
They killed him.
But I think also the fact that Rhaenyra didn't like lash back at him, she knew what it was. He was grieving over her. Yeah, so that's my
another interesting thing though is the fact that Viserys never told him about the Song of Ice and Fire.
That was the big thing too, because she's like, you didn't know. He never told you. Yeah, exactly. It reminded me of. Bear with me. It reminded me. I remember when I first heard it. It reminded me of the Kill Bill at the end of part 2 in Kill Bill when Bill was like, he told you the 5-point palm, explain the heart technique, and she's like, of course. Did he teach you? Did he tell you? It was like, no, it's like the biggest secret that
Mm-hmm. That's interesting though. He's a very, again, all these characters are so layered and complex, and me taking the initial steps to try to be a writer adds something that it's hard to do, people. Like, it's extremely difficult to write not only one character that has layers, but like that many main characters and supporting cast that have, like, even down to like the simple characters that are just supporters there have some form of layers to them, rather than be the one dude on the Night's Watch, the bald bearded guy. I
love that dude.
He's loyal to the crown, so I don't think he has any like loyalties to Rhaenyra, but he's like, yeah, Brian, with all this bullshit I got going on right now.
I feel like he was loyal. More loyal. He's loyal to the crown, but he was more loyal to Viserys. He took his cape off. He's like, "Fuck y'all!" I walked out the door. And I love also the Eric twins. One is named Eric ERRY. Other was named Eric ARRY. I was like, all right, cool. I see what you did there, George R.R. Martin. But I love how those twins were like, one of them's like, yo, this is fucked up, and bolted and took the crown to her. It's like, I'd rather serve you than serve this other house. And I do like the idea though, still, that it's like, it's not as simple or clear cut or binary as evil versus good. Both houses did things that you could disagree with, and that's kind of how real war is. In real war, it's not as clear cut as we're the good guys. I mean, sometimes obviously with Nazis, but I mean, most of the time it's like both sides have issues, and they're both doing things. They
Honestly, I think they did the opposite for this season specifically. I feel like they made the High Towers feel like they were like the main antagonists and like the overarching villains going forward.
At the end,
Rhaenyra did some things that people disagreed with, but as far as like the colluding, the murder, the treason, all the High Towers did the big shit. And I think now they're gonna try to flip that when it's hitting the next season, because now Rhaenyra's like pissed. She's about the no bars held.
Right. I think at the beginning, like Otis said earlier on, he was more Team Alicent, because Alicent still was. She seemed more virtuous, and it seemed obviously like, I mean, even the fact that Rhaenyra was hooking up with someone that wasn't her husband, having a whole bunch of kids, and they kept living that lie. They refused to acknowledge it. And then of course she married her uncle, and on some subconscious level, like, that's a weird scenario. What are we doing here, y'all? So there were things that seemed off, but how far Alicent fell, essentially, how far, I mean, that coup, even when the coup was happening, y'all remember, Alicent was like, I don't feel comfortable with this, and she was under the impression that Viserys' dying words were to basically change to renege on what he had said before make Aegon the king, which I don't know how she got that, but so she still wanted to hear. But so it's on some level, she still isn't trying to be malicious. It's just she's in a bad scenario. Again, she's surrounded by bad people in a sense too. So it's not as clear cut. I do think you're right though, Dev. Ultimately, in the end, they were trying to say, yeah, we want the audience to be team Targaryen or Rhaenyra, and they do think it'll go back and forth over the course of the next season.
She about to do some despicable shit this next season.
I don't know if you can like make her the worst one of the two at this point, like, especially because like Alicent is never like the worst person of the bunch. It's just that she's just surrounded by so many deplorable people, like, and she allows things to happen, so she's just as complicit as them, essentially. I mean,
right. And for me, it's not even her specifically. It's just the High Towers. I put them as a collective. It's like her dad, and all, like, everyone over there on that side has done some very questionable things, from Christian to her father to Buddy the strong.
The youngest.
Like, they've all committed murder. And up until this point, as far as I can recollect, I don't think Rhaenyra has really done anything that malicious outside of, like, and even then you can argue how malicious it is as far as her getting with Buddy outside of her actual marriage.
Right. No, it wasn't.
Up to this point, she hasn't like been a part of somebody being murdered yet.
No, there's no blood. There's no blood on their hands. Put it that way. There is blood on Alicent's hands, even though it was indeliberate. Basically, she kind of gave the green light to old boy to murder his dad and brother after he lets out 3 convicts. So it gets dirty. It gets dirty in that sense. But you're right. The Rhaenyra and Daemon didn't actually hurt anyone like that necessarily.
Oh, not Daemon. Daemon hurt several people.
Daemon
did.
Well,
the only one I'll give you is Valerian's brother, because even with the crown, that was war against his kingdom.
That was.
I'll give you his ex-wife. I'll give you the first ex-wife. I'll give you that one.
Oh yeah, even that's weird. That's a weird scenario. But yeah, he did. Yeah, that's a weird. Again, it's Ahsoka. It's very complicated to understand. But break it down. Yeah.
Buddy. I liked him a lot more, and then that choke really made me think about him. Like, damn, he is really a menace. That's crazy.
No, he's for sure my favorite character in the show right now.
He's legit. Yeah, I feel like he was very much wibbly wobbly. Didn't have a definitive cause, but after they made it clear, like when he grabbed old girl, when he grabbed old girl by the throat, it's like, I am this now. This is me. Know me, essentially.
Have y'all seen a bigger comeback acting wise, where you go you have the low of a Morbius, and now you probably make up for that and some change with this?
Maybe Keanu Reeves' career, just him. I mean, not even in the movies, just him as a person. People love him.
This is Project
RDJ.
RDJ.
Was he doing anything bad though? He was just an alcoholic though.
He wasn't in good stuff though. I mean, he had Kiss Kiss Bang Bang before he had Iron Man, but he wasn't like his career was a mess. He couldn't. No, he was unhired. He was literally unhireable. No one would insure him in movies.
Or anything he was in that was anything as bad as Morbius. Because I haven't watched anything before Iron Man, so I don't know.
That's
what I'm like you're in them, and not even just the movie, but like the way they gave you the script they gave you and the way they wanted you to do certain things. Just look like that dance. I know he could have made that up on his own. You can't tell me he made that up on his own. Where it's like I'm pretty
sure he did make that. Like,
well, the
I don't
actual
think they
dance,
choreographed the dance.
The actual dance, yes, but as far as like we want you to dance right now in this scene right here in front of this mirror. Like I know he didn't write the script for him to want to dance right then and there.
I'm sure he didn't. I mean,
no one wanted
in
that.
the right mind would have said, vampires dance. Yes,
you have to
dance.
You have to understand he got paid to do that.
There you go.
Why are we here?
He took the role. He took the role.
Edit all this out. Edit anything referring to Morbius out of this podcast. Out of this channel permanently.
Nah.
Burn it with the match.
In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, I rebuke it.
I Jakaris it all.
Jakaris it is crazy. Yeah, man. To kind of turn the direction back into regards to the show, I kind of want to ask the question of what side character do you guys think has been the I guess we'll give it the sixth man of the year award for in better terms people understand it. Who do you think was the sixth man of the year for this season?
Right on.
In what way exactly?
They're not a main character. They're a side character that just made a huge impact on the story or just a huge impact on you.
I mean, not in a positive way.
Anyway, it didn't have to be positive.
Sir Christian, because boy, that's a hop.
Christian, okay. Professor E.
He took
the same one?
But no, he took it. But I'll choose somebody else then. I will say actually Eric. I think the one that spelled ARY, the one that chose to take the crown. He first off, what he did was he ushered Rhaenys out. He got her out of there. He got Rhaenys out of that because she was locked up essentially. He had to sneak her out, and because of that, she was able to get to a dragon, which was able to deliver the message to Dragonstone. And he also got the crown. Brought the crown to Rhaenyra when she was at a really Rhaenyra when she's at a really, really low point in her life. They were literally burning her child, her stillborn child, and he brought the crown, and everyone bowed before her, which I'm sure she was like, no one will ever bow to a woman. That's not going to happen. So I give him an MVP award. If you come at six man, that's true six man off the bench material right there.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm surprised I didn't say my buddy Strong. Beetle Strong. I'm gonna call him Beetle Strong.
I'd almost put him a little higher than six man, but yeah.
I feel like he kind of like put things into stir with the murdering of the Old Hand and Rhaenyra's ex-lover. Like you kind of like you started. He didn't start the whole thing, but I feel like he put a little gas on the fire to kind of heat things up.
Literally,
he legit started like the whole animosity between them to the level that it got to.
Yeah, like, he knew what he was doing.
He is a instigator for if I've ever seen one.
Call him Fruit by the Foot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh Jesus!
And he's still in there, just like whispering in people's ears, like, "Hey, you heard they said about your mama, right? That's crazy. You go get him." he said your mama got a peg leg with a kickstand.
It's like that character on Living Color. Ain't when the gossip, but you ain't heard from me. About Miss Jenkins. He was. That dude was just like. But he was awesome. We loved him. We were like, yo, this feels like old school, Game of Thrones, having someone, inspiring and everything behind your back.
He felt like evil Tyrion to me, where he's just like really quick-witted and behind, like, but he's just getting shit done. He's like, hey, they called you a bitch. Do you want me to go, handle them real quick? I can. Yeah. You ain't gotta do nothing. I'll take care of it for you.
No, he actually would have his way to be like, don't. He's almost like the less you. I think he said the less you know, the better. It's like that is dark. If anyone word otherwise, if anyone ever says the less you know, the better, stop. I'm like, well, no. I need to know everything and put that knife down. They're doing some real shady shit right there. I promise.
Buddy is literally the Ambu for the High Towers. It's crazy. He's the Donzo of King's Landing.
I love it.
I think he's quite literally the Itachi because he definitely killed his family.
He did, but that was for personal gain, though, not for the betterment of the whole village.
He may see it as the betterment, though.
Possibly, but he wanted that throne. He wanted his kingdom. He wanted the kingdom that his dad had.
Oh, you think it was okay? It was more.
At least that's from my perspective. That's what I read from it. It's like I wanted this anyway. I needed a way to get it without suffering any consequences and people asking questions. So let me go ahead and see if I can convince the queen, because that way she'll protect me, because now she's complicit in my crime.
She's complicit. But y'all are missing the elephant, aka the foot in the room. I feel like remember the scene where she was literally he had a massive foot fetish. She just had her foot.
Yeah, that was weird.
Did y'all think that scene happened?
By the foot.
Yeah. So I feel like his motives may have also been based around like, yo, I'm hot for this redhead. Let me, again, no king shame, but
when did they allude to that? Because I feel like they kind of came out of left field with the foot fetish thing.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I think that's the they didn't beforehand. We didn't know he necessarily had anything for it, but once that happens, okay, he clearly digs her.
It is just her feet too. That's the crazy thing. Just like he didn't seem to rouse at all by her. It's like as soon as the piggies come out, boy. And I didn't even notice that's what it was initially. I'm like, why are they focusing on her feet so much?
Why is she taking her socks off?
She was like rubbing her feet and taking her socks off. I'm like, what's going on here? And she put them up on the table. And I saw him like rub. I'm like, hey,
you saw it, Dev. You saw it.
Yo, big Bob,
again,
boy.
Again, no king shame. No, God.
That was he was riding her like a rodeo show, or riding her feet like a rodeo show. That was crazy.
You saw it. We all saw it.
Shaboing boing.
Speaking of things that we saw, what's your thoughts on the coronation scene? You know, when Rhaenys shows up, like, how do you feel about that? Because I got some thoughts.
That was a top 3 scene. That would be my favorite scene. I ain't gonna lie to you, because you have that tension that you have there of like you know the word that could end everything. It could like just resolve all this shit. But the audience knows what the word is. And we know she can say and end it all, but she doesn't.
And they know it too. You see, Ogre Allison's like looks up like you're gonna destroy us, aren't you? Mm-hmm. It's almost like she's not even saying. There's no like, please. None of them beg for her not to do it. Mm-hmm. They're all like, yeah, you're in your right to do it. We deserve it to get burned alive. Yeah. That
tension felt like it lasted for like an hour. Where she just sat there and like, say it, bitch, say it, pussy, say it.
I can feel it right now. Yeah, but I know Otis is also asking as far as like, should she have said Dracarys? I don't think she should have. Obviously, gives us more content, but it's kind of like she iterates it in the next episode as far as it's not really my place to do this. This is your house. This is your business. I have chosen a side, but I'm not gonna do.
I thought it was like a warrior code is what I got from that. At least from initially what I got from it was like you said, it's not my war to start. I'm a warrior. I'll fight in this war, but I'm not here to delegate any politics within it.
See, my line of thinking is actually different from you guys'. I mean, if we're talking about me, yes, I for sure would have like baked them like immediately, but
put them in a pack.
Yeah, pack. That's his ass. But I'm just thinking, like, how does she feel about like just showing up and murdering all of those innocent people that didn't actually want to be there, but like not murdering the people that actually like inconvenienced her in any way? Like, how does that work?
Line. It's a weird line to draw.
It's tough.
It's a weird line. It's like,
again, that goes to show you just like how disconnected all these characters are from the actual people that they reside over, and like how. Not weak, because I would never call like the poor weak, but just like
choice.
How meek they seem, the word they just never. I mean, we saw it some to the extent where Game of Thrones, where they were like shaming Cersei, but like the people always seem like they're just in such fear of the people in power. When in all reality, literally, I could just storm the Capitol, and there's nothing they can do about it, and it's a wrap. There's just more of you than there are them. Mm-hmm. But that is a thing though. Like they treat the people that they reside over like cannon fodder.
The cattle, they're fodder. Yeah, they 100%.
Real life.
Pretty much. But don't get black bag, man. We don't want anybody kicked in that door and just.
That's the worst case scenario. But yeah, I that is a good point as far as because it was amazing. I didn't see it come. I know Otis sees everything 5 miles away. I didn't see it coming as far as her busting up through the.
I didn't either.
I did. Floor. I for sure saw that because like it was going too peaceful. It was like, okay, where does this go wrong?
I thought something was going to happen. I did think something was going to happen, but I didn't know it was going to be that.
You know what the moment was? That's when somebody said, "I'm going to the trunk. I'm going to the trunk. Y'all can be here when I get back, but I'm going to the trunk." And she came there. They was there when she came back.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was Yeah, but I think also it was almost in a way too. It was a victory. It was a good victory for her because she looked at them all in absolute fear and terror of her, and she had that smile on her face. Like, yeah, y'all
Talk
terrified.
that shit now.
Yeah, say something. Say anything right now.
I'll say something.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll say something. I'll say one
smile on her
thing.
face.
No, if she was really a savage, she would have made them extra crispy and grabbed the throne herself and be like, "What you gonna do about it?"
Yeah.
Then she had to deal with Rhaenyra and Daemon.
Yeah, she had to fight a war by herself.
She could probably convince him.
Probably.
It's like, yeah,
not at that point. I don't think.
Because of y'all, I've lost 2 children. Deal with it.
Yeah.
Nah, I think at that point, Rhaenyra is too set on the throne. At that point,
it'd be another conversation. Yeah, I don't know.
That goes south really fast, especially with Daemon's hot-headed ass.
Yeah. But I definitely dug seeing at the end before Luke got chomped up. I dug seeing the squads, the line. I'd like seeing that this is team, Targaryen essentially, and they're ready to go to war and see how they're shaped up and everything. I like seeing it. So it's cool. Again, season 2 is gonna be good.
Well, guys, we got a great, riveting conversation about this season. We all love it, obviously. Let's go ahead and give it the honor of a proper rating. What do you guys want to give it? We'll start with Otis.
10. I go to 10.
Hey, okay.
It gave me everything that I expected. I wanted to see distinct dragons. That's one of the things I said when we did our pre-review, and those dragons were distinct. I wanted to see the peak Game of Thrones recover from what they did in season 8 of Game of Thrones, and they did that and then some. I feel like this was better than pretty much anything Game of Thrones did, except maybe
well, not the Battle of the Bastards. Battle of the Bastards is still the best.
Battle of the Bastards was the best fight, but like story wise and build up wise and character, like these characters are crazy good. Like at being good or bad, like they invoke emotion. Like
I'd like to do this to honor and stop everybody here to acknowledge the fact this is a big monumental moment in the history of the Then and Now podcast. This is officially the first 10 that I've ever heard Otis give.
Arcane was the first 10.
Was that a 10?
Yeah, sure gave it a 10.
Yeah,
immediately gave it a 10.
Yeah. Actually, at the gate he said 10. Sorry, Dev, but it's still. We can add that part if you want.
No, leave that in.
I'm right there with you. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 10. Also, I have to give it a 10 just because they used time skips so well that made sense, but you didn't lose the story at all. It was just masterfully done, and it was fun to watch the inside the episodes afterwards, to listen to just to see the actual genuine enthusiasm of this new team as they're working on these things, and also see how many female directors were put on to do scenes that are pretty complicated. As one of the biggest things we think about the first original Game of Thrones was just how awkward and uncomfortable and exploitive that could have been towards women and sex and everything. And I get it's a dark world, but this show is actually making a point to show we don't have to do that kind of stuff to tell a story. And I appreciate that. So
I mean, that's the thing. Like they still show like how powerful women can be, but then they also show like some of the dark horrors they can face simultaneously. Like literally having men decide if they will live or die. Like if that's not a recurring thing to today, I don't know what is.
I'm gonna say it. Damn it, I'm gonna say it. This is what She-Hulk wanted to be.
So here's another thing. We don't have to get into this at all, but there were 3 shows that were led by women that came around almost the exact same time. It was She-Hulk, Rings of Power, and House of Dragons. And I think I was maybe the least excited about House of Dragons, and it's by far the one I like the most. So,
hey, when you're old and grouchy, we gotta young bloods gotta put you on to some stuff. You know how it goes.
I can't lie, I am old and crotchety.
Oh man, we know we love you. I'm gonna give it a 10 as well. This is I literally can't think of a single negative. Every week I look forward to this. Every week, me and people that don't even watch a lot of nerd related content was into this dark fantasy story every single week and wanted to talk about it every single week. This is
It was a great water cooler show. I mean, that's before y'all's time. Water coolers were things that people used to put a liquid into to keep it cold.
We have one in the office.
Okay, all right. Y'all
It's the
I've been camping and stuff and some tailgating. And like, I know what a water cooler is. Like,
long ago in a galaxy far, far away.
It's like, man.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But
I feel like that's still current technology. Like people still use water coolers now.
It is still current technology, but there isn't as much appointment television. This is because oftentimes things are released all in binge. So this, because it was released weekly and because it was good enough, it was a water cooler show. Mm-hmm. And this is the official second series only to get 10 out of 10s from all of us. And it's been almost a year. Y'all realize that it's been almost a year since we had anything that got 10 out of 10s.
That was literally.
It was December
3rd.
3rd.
It's almost a full year. Yeah, almost a full year. That's crazy. Like 10, 11 months. Yeah. 10 months ago, actually. I'm tripping. Yeah, 10 months ago. That's crazy. Hey, man, it's been a good year. We had one at the beginning and one at the end.
That's fair.
Well, that was last year technically, but you know what I mean.
Same difference. Longest dismount of all time. Dracarys, everyone. Dracarys.
So when we doing that Rings of Power review?
Fuck you.
You're funny.